5 FM New Haven.
Thanks, Harry. Good morning, Bette Allen.
Morning, Babs.
See you. All right, so Bette Allen is in Seattle, so it's ridiculously early for her.
Not for most people, but for me, it's ridiculously early. I had to get up at 6 here to get ready for you, and it was still dark. That's hard for me. So I'm on my second cup of coffee already.
Yay! Good morning. Well, I appreciate you making the wake up call.
Yes.
and being here. I so love the color of those walls. It's so beautiful.
Do you know that orange back there? I was visiting my cousin when she lived in Nashville, and we went on a garden tour, which is like, right up your alley. Went in and out of all these fabulous homes and looked at these fabulous gardens. We went in one home and they had that color on the wall, and I said, I gotta have it. So it's just one wall. Just one wall in my living room, but it makes me happy. I love orange and yellow, so
yeah, it's beautiful.
The colors are my happy colors.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is my great love, Bette Allen, who is an artist and the designer of the lamps that you see in the background, and so she's here to talk about, of course, the lamps, but a particular lamp, the Light of Truth lamp, which I don't know. How did you come up with this? Tell a story about, you had this idea about doing something in support of all the social, racial injustice that's going on. And you just wanted to lend your talents to that on some level. Well, what better way to do that is to make a lamp?
Yeah, that's kind of it. So I heard Harry earlier do his Today in History, and you guys probably already talked about this earlier, but this is the 1-year anniversary of the killing of Ahmaud Arbery.
Yes.
So it was this time last year, well, it's been an ongoing thing, but last year with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and just this insane amount of killing, the publicity, I was just feeling, what the hell can I do? What can I do? I felt I had to do something, but what could I do? Just as a white lady, what could I do? And then speak to hate when I hear it and see it, So I've been making these lamps for over 5 years now, and I've tried raising money with them for various causes. After the Pulse nightclub shooting, I donated a lamp for a silent auction that they were doing there for survivors, and little things here and there. And I don't know how it just popped into my head. Let's do a lamp. Let's do a lamp about Black history, which as you know is just rich beyond belief. And I didn't want to make it about the victims, but I wanted it to somehow work toward just making things better. I know that just sounds, you have to forgive your girlfriend for being half asleep here. So I'm not as able to speak at this hour of the morning.
You're doing fine.
Okay, so in a nutshell, I am making these lamps that I'm calling the Light of Truth, based on a quote from Ida B. Wells, who said, well, here, I'll show you. Here's Ida B. Turn her off. So she's Ida B.
Yes, I have
on
that
one
one.
side, we have Miss Stacey Abrams. And Ida said the way to right wrongs is to turn the light of truth upon them. And so I thought, I'm going to call these the Light of Truth.
Because I make lamps.
Each one features two people, one, contemporary and someone from the past. And, we can go way back as far as photographs go to Sojourner Truth, which was 18 I want to say 1860 something. I could be wrong. But each one is somehow linked. I mean, Ida B. Wells Barnett,
yeah,
was an early civil rights activist, and then we have Stacy. And so what happened then was just this flood. I just started doing research, and I called you, and then we got your sister involved, because I can do the research, but I needed somebody to bounce it off of, and somebody to kind of guide me and say, yeah, this is a good combination of people, but you might want to go this way instead. And here's some good quotes. And so working with you and working with Robin, so far I've come up with 4 lamps that are finished, and I have a whole bunch of ideas on the back burner. And so I'm selling them through my Etsy shop, which is Glow Goods, GLOGOODS. And the difference is that most people that sell things and give a donation to charity, it's usually like 20%, 10%, 50% of the sale of this lamp is going to the Southern Poverty Law Center. So,
and you've already sent them some money.
I have sent them a check. I'm hoping to send them another check this month. And I want it to take off. These lights, aside from being beautiful, I think they're beautiful.
Yes, my brother came over and tried to steal mine. My brother Robert, he takes home shopping to a whole other level. I was like, no. So he's like, can I go to her site and just look? I was like, well, you have to buy. I'll buy one.
I'm looking at my bracelets back in the day, looking through my bracelets. Oh, this is lovely. Can I have it?
So that's the thing. You have old friends. They remember you. They remember your bull.
Anyway, where were we? So 50%, which I think, I make a little money. I'm an artist. I need to make a living here. I sell lamps, but I do okay. But thank God my husband's still working. But I just feel good about the 50%. And as I said, I've already sent them a check, and there's another one for this month. And so and there's a lot of ideas on the back burner. The initial idea was to do limited editions. And move on to the next lamp. But I'm still kind of feeling it out. So should we look at the other lamps? Do you want to see the other lamp?
So I mean, now that you've opened this whole thing up, I mean, you're starting to sort of learn that, as you said at the beginning of this conversation, that the history is so rich, and that this could, you could make limited editions forever and ongoing, and make this a part of what you do. Until you just get tired of doing it, I guess. So what has been the most surprising thing about this process?
Well, learning. When I first had the idea and I bounced it off of you, I just sat down and started doing research and putting together names, and just digging deep. And, as I say, it's rich, but why on earth wouldn't it be rich? I mean, it's when I went to school, the only Black history we had was Carver, right?
George Washington Carver, yes.
Carver. Thank you. And we learned a little bit about the Underground Railroad, which was never really explained to me as a child. I'm like, how'd they get the train underground? I don't understand. But it just, the things that I found out, I mean, it was a Black man who invented the filament light bulb.
Louis Latimer.
Right. Here I am, Glow Goods, and what do you know? So, just amazing. I just heard something yesterday that blew my mind. But as I say, why not? You're people, right? People do things.
Well, that's been our lament. We've been trying to press that point, I don't know, thousands of years now.
And this is what makes me crazy, because I just don't understand where the hatred comes from.
This is a lovely way to sort of educate people, because you didn't just put a picture. You are deliberate about a quote. You wanted a quote to live next door to the picture, to live beside the picture. And so
Right.
now what was the thinking around that? And what did you need the quote to be? Or what do you need these quotes to do?
Well, I hate to say to start a conversation. Everybody says that now, but honestly, my initial thought was that I wanted to sell these lamps to well-meaning white women who felt like I did. Like, what can we do? And to try to get people talking about it when they have their, the sister-in-law over who's not so open to change. Just like, what's that lamp doing here? And then you could start a conversation. But I don't know, but it seems it's like everybody should have one of these lamps. They're pick the people you like, and I'm going to do. Started out with civil rights leaders, but I'm going to be doing I'm working on one right now with Muhammad Ali and hopefully Colin Kaepernick, trying to get permission
which are both my favorite. But Muhammad Ali is my personal hero. Like, if I have a male hero, he is for me my very personal hero. Because
amazing.
his story is so compelling and
rich,
and I mean, he just was a very principled man.
Yep.
You know,
One Night in Miami yet?
Yes, I loved everything about it. Like, you don't get to see Black men in friendship like that. Like, you just never see those intimate dynamics of, where they are. And then to put it in to put it at that particular time, to see that particular time that, when the whole country was in an uproar about things, to see them wrestling with it in their own lives and where they are. It was quite stunning. So, so talk to me a little, and I talked to my sister about this, and I'm gonna have both you and she on in March as part of the Women's History Month conversation.
Bunch of women on the list. Well, we have women never, we have more women.
But yes, and I love the fact that you started out with women, because I don't think Black women get enough recognition for their places in history, and that you've chosen Ida B. Wells and Stacey Abrams, who is getting so much, deservedly so, accolades. Is a lovely mashup pairing,
right?
Because you could have put Ida with anybody. Like, there's a lot of young activists.
That was all you, Babs. That was what we discussed, and you thought they would make the perfect match. So, and I agree. I think they're good together.
and I will say this. So what was the inspiration for this particular kind of lamp? Like how did you decide that you would make these kinds of lamps in the lamp making process? Not just because of the light of truth, but for your business.
Let me show you a couple. I've got some lamps in progress here, some orders. I started out over 5 years ago, just making these little lamps. Little table lamps. This is a very plain one. Everybody now wants to play mid-century looking, mid-century modern. All kinds of interesting papers, handmade papers. A lot of them are eco-friendly and support women. A lot of women in Nepal and Thailand make these papers out of eco-friendly plants, and it supports them. So it's a great thing that I'm buying their paper. So it was making these little 12 by 5 by 5 lamps, and then I started branching out and making bigger sizes and playing with paper. I don't know if you can see.
Wow, that is gorgeous.
Of a landscape piece in the background here, you can see there's a lamp of Cosmos floor lamp.
I love it. I see those in the back by the fireplace.
Skeleton and another map. So, I was making these little lamps and just got tired of them. I still make them, but I needed to branch out. So these are all made with 1/4-inch oak. I build the frames myself, have a little workshop downstairs. And so I started making chunkier lamps with 3/8-inch oak, which is what I built these lamps with. And these little guys, before I start putting color on them, I line them with rice paper. That's like my canvas. And then they're finished with acrylic. So they're paper, but they're pretty durable. They're kind of like little drums. Like, here's my little.
Right. I love that. Oh, that's
It's the most
beautiful.
popular of all my lamps. Everybody loves the maps,
All right, so
especially.
hold it still so people can see it. Like just hold it still. Yes. See? That's
This one's not
beautiful.
finished. Doesn't have
It's
any.
beautiful though. Doesn't have the light parts, the
Right.
lady
um,
parts.
I'm working on a tie-dye lamp for the hippies out there. These
So in
tie
your process,
papers,
that's a beautiful color. That color is gorgeous.
these are great, yeah. And the tie-dye comes in, this is orange, comes in cranberry and green too.
So in your creative process, Bet, do you have opportunity to, is some of this trial and error? Like, how do you decide how to make the legs? Like, what is the
It
thinking?
just,
And do you get to experiment? Do you experiment
yeah,
and say, I'm gonna
I,
try
I,
this?
I do get to experiment, not enough though, because the orders keep coming in, especially this year. People are just sitting home shopping, which is good for me. But I don't have, like, I still haven't done my books from last year, and taxes are coming up, so I'm starting to freak out. And yeah, I want to do more pendant lamps and floor lamps. I've done a couple of huge floor lamps, which was really, that was fun. Last March, that kind of took me away from the pandemic, and I just concentrated on making this 6-foot floor lamp. But yeah, I was going to say this: the Light of Truth lamps are a little more sturdy because they're 3/4 inch or 3/8 inch oak, and rather than starting them with rice paper, they have a styrene interior, and then I put the paper on top of that and finish it. And then each lamp has a different African fabric print.
Yes, because you were very deliberate about making this feel very sort of authentic
Yeah,
and celebratory to the
right.
roots of Africa and that and it's very pretty. So so in laying out the papers and picking out papers, what was the joy like in doing that?
Well, so it started, so to your audience, Babs and I met in, I think it was 94, and we were working at Citizens Television. So my background is in film and
Film and
video,
television.
film and video and
Yeah.
TV. And I work behind the camera a lot, lighting and shooting and editing and, all of it. But my passion was light. And so I always played around with making lights and playing around with papers. There was a great shop in Seattle that's long gone now called Paper Zone, and they sold all these on, racks and racks of paper. Now my studio looks like the Paper Zone, so I have racks and racks of paper, kind of a paper hoarder. But yeah, I stopped doing film and video, and because everybody was doing it on their phones, it just became too hard. And so then my sister passed away, coming up on 6 years now, and she was an artist. She painted in oil and kind of lived a bohemian lifestyle.
Yeah.
She was 14 years older than me, so she was like kind of like a mom and a mentor and a friend, and and that was hard because she was always there. I hate to say she was my touchstone. That's another phrase that's used way too much, but really she was the person that I went to. And I just thought, wow, she's gone and I could be gone next. And if I'm unhappy doing what I'm doing now, I should make lamps. I've been thinking about it for a while. Do it before I drop dead. And so I started making them. It made me really happy just playing around with these things, kind of working out exactly what they were going to look like and all that. And then my friends and family here started going, well, I want one, I want one. And so then I opened up an Etsy shop and, been doing the craft shows in the holidays. And it's kind of taken off slowly and steadily.
So do you ever get to the place, and I don't know if you think about this, but I mean, as you're making these lamps and you're dreaming big and you're doing different kinds of things, do you think I need to grow this business? Maybe I should hire people. Maybe I should get a bigger space. Maybe I should do you allow yourself room for that kind of thinking and dreaming?
Yeah, I do. I would love to at least have one person to help me. I have my husband, but he's not always here. He travels a lot, as you know. So he may be watching from Florida right now.
Hi,
So,
Doug.
Gotta go to Florida because people gotta watch golf on TV. So he's in broadcast TV work. Yeah, I would love to do bigger lamps, more art pieces. This lamp I was talking about, the floor lamp that I did back in March, was commissioned, and they wanted a lamp that looked like the Pacific Northwest. So it was 6 foot by 1 foot column, and it was the mountains to sound all the way down. And I have to say, it was gorgeous. I didn't want to give it up when I was done. I put my heart and soul into it, but I want to do more big art pieces.
Like, I'm sorry you bought this, but I can't part with it.
That's what it felt
Wrestling
like.
in the driveway with your lamp. No.
And I'd show you a picture of it, but I'm using my iPad right now to talk to you, so I can't just. It's funny how I want to keep wanting to grab it, but I can't because it's my kid.
That's all right.
So yeah.
So in this, this is. I mean, does this work give you solace during this pandemic? Like, are you?
Absolutely. It's my meditation. When I get into designing and making these lamps, I get into a rhythm, and everything else I tune out. I put some music on, or I listen to a podcast, but that's my escape. And yeah, it's been great to have this as a place to go to.
This is like another career kind of thing. I mean, you've had many different kinds of careers, right? Many, and you're a real testament to it's never too late to try new things. Like, that's one of the things that I admire greatly about you, is that you don't let age or whatever barrier stop you from doing this. You're like, oh, I'm going to do this. And you just started doing it. You didn't say, oh my God, I'm however old you are, I shouldn't be taking on these new things, but here you are. So speak to that a little bit.
I've never understood that kind of thinking. I have a couple of friends who hated what they were doing in their 30s and complained, and they're still doing it. And, in the meantime, I've had like 5 different shifts in my career, including, pulling up roots and driving across country after working at Quinnipiac, right? Just like had a great job there, and just decided I don't want to be here anymore. I want to move to Seattle, and just like moved here, knew 2 people, started working in video and film. And I just feel like why be unhappy in something that you're doing every day, and it's not quite true. Do what you love and the money will follow. Some money will follow, depending on what you're doing. Maybe a lot of money will follow, maybe some money. But what really followed was happiness, and they make me happy. They make other people happy. I get great feedback from the people that purchase these lamps. They just, and especially now, having this light on, whether it's the light of truth or one of my other lights, just to have that little piece of beauty, I call them pieces of art that glow. It just makes people happy. It makes me happy to know that I'm making people happy. And I love getting feedback from my customers. And I think of these little lamps like my children, like they're all over the country now. I even have a friend, I sent one to a friend in England. I had to do some creative wiring. Her husband had to finish it up on the other end because, they're 220, different voltage was a lot. But so here we are. And now I'm hoping that the light of truth will lead me in a whole other direction and hopefully generate some money for Southern Poverty Law Center, who,
Why did you choose the Southern Law? Why did you choose the Southern Law? I mean, because there's a lot of, I know why you chose it, because we had lengthy conversations about, where this money should go. But ultimately you decided on this. So talk a little bit about why that was important to you.
Well, literally, they have a map of hate on their website, and this is what they do. They're trying to extinguish hate. It sounds like a lot, but you know, you gotta try. They support, you know, law center. They're helping people with lawsuits, trial, you know, all sorts of cases. But there are so many amazing nonprofits out there, and I just felt that they were a good place to start. They also have an extremely high rating on Charity Navigator. You know, a good portion of the money that they collect goes to the work. It doesn't go into the CEO's pockets, which some charities, you know, you have to look that up. Don't just assume people. If you've got a charity you want to donate to, look at Charity Navigator or one of the other sites, and make sure that that money is going to go to the work. So,
and that's important, because I think people in their good hearts just think, well, I'll give, and they just assume that it's going to the work, and then you find out later that it's not, and you feel very duped when that happens. So
yeah, you do. It's hard. I mean, a lot of these nonprofits have to send out mailings all the time, and I always can't remember which group it is, but they're always they put like a nickel inside and tape it to the, like, what? Why are you doing? What's the point of this? I don't understand. Anyway, getting off the track.
And so you have the Ida B. Wells and the Stacey Abrams. And then the other one, which is an equally beautiful one, is our vice president, our newly elected vice president, Kamala Harris. Yeah, turn your light off. Kamala Harris and
Shirley Chisholm.
Which from a Black Greek perspective, an AKA and a member of Delta Sigma Theta sorority.
Right.
So Shirley Chisholm is my soror, and Vice President Harris is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority.
And there's a little bit of pink in there, ladies.
Yes, I see.
So here we have a different African print, and you know, that's a fun thing too, is finding the images, playing with the images, and then finding the background pattern that goes with them. But you know, everybody that saw when Kamala came out and said she was running, and she told everybody she was standing on Shirley Chisholm's shoulders. And I remember seeing Shirley when she put in her bid. You know, I was like, I don't know, 14 or something back when I was.
Wow.
Yeah. I remember.
Wow.
I remember them all. I remember seeing Julian Bond when he was considering, you know, and at the time I was thinking, like, why not? Little did I know it would take this long. But, so anyway, this has Shirley's quote, "I ran for the presidency to," can you see this?
Yes.
"To demonstrate the sheer will and refusal to accept the status quo, to give a voice to the people the major candidates were ignoring."
Yes.
And we have Kamala, who says, "My mother had a saying, Kamala, you may be the first to do many things, but make sure you're not the last." And we've all been hearing that one a lot, but you know, there they are.
And I love that, you know, that speaks to Shirley Chisholm too, because she was the first,
right.
And she certainly was not the last.
Right.
And that Kamala indeed stands on her shoulders, right?
Yep.
So they're very beautiful, and they're very powerful women that have earned their place in history. So,
right.
You know, so talk a little bit about the process of finding pictures, because I think it's an interesting conversation these last 5 minutes.
So pictures are, I have to be very careful. Trying to find a picture that has, you know, you have to pay royalties to people. I wanted to use a particular picture of Ursula Burns, for instance, and I asked the photographer, and he said, "I don't own it. Xerox does," because, you know, Ursula Burns was the first CEO, Black female CEO of Xerox Corporation. And I couldn't get nobody at Xerox writes back, you know, it's hard. So I'm trying to find images that I can manipulate to the point where they don't look anything like the original, or finding royalty-free, public domain for instance, Madam C.J.
Madam
Walker,
C.J. Walker.
Wayne. So yeah, first Black millionaires, right? With her hair products. And this was your sister's idea to put these two women together.
I love that. I think that's a perfect pairing. So Beth, talk a little bit about how when you work on these pieces, how do they make you feel when you work on these? I mean, do you feel like, do you feel a connection to it? Do you feel like it brings you joy? Does it bring you pleasure? Do you feel like it's a calling? Talk a little bit about.
It definitely feels like a calling because, you know, as I said, I worked behind a camera and doing lighting and camera, and this is still light and shadow. So, but now it's three-dimensional, and it's, you know, as far as these lamps go, I'm very attached to all my lamps, but these, I want these to look perfect. You know, any little tiny titchy thing I'm fixing, I want to make sure the women all look good and everybody.
I got good. Black friends, and they're gonna tell me.
Tell me about it. So yeah, I mean, it means a lot to me that I run this stuff by you and Robin. So your audience should know, yesterday I was talking to you because I'm working on a John Lewis lamp.
Yes.
Yeah, so quickly we can talk about him. But again, so these photos are public domain. Apparently, any photo taken of someone in a government situation, that's automatically, you know, public domain, and after a certain number of years. But I just love John Lewis, and you said he needs his own lamp. And so
yes.
Babs and I disagree about the use of this picture from Jackson, Mississippi, but this is the second mugshot of John Lewis. And what I like about this is he's smiling, because he knows he's getting into good trouble.
Well, I'll tell you why I think because historically there are too many pictures of Black men going to jail. There are too many pictures of us in that particular place, I'm partial to him at the bridge as opposed to the prison pictures. That's
right.
The jail pictures. I mean, I feel the same way about the MLK pictures. I feel the same way about the Malcolm X pictures. I feel that way about my own pictures. So
yeah. Well, the pictures of him at the bridge there wasn't anything I could use.
Yeah. No, I listen, I'm on board, but that was just my own internal, you know,
but
vibe.
Where I was going was that this was the jumping off point.
Yes.
And here we are, you know.
Yes. I love it. And I love that, you know, for the male lamps, you are leading with him first. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're leading with him, and then you're gonna follow it up with Muhammad Ali and Colin Kaepernick, which
right.
You know, I just love it. Any thought to kids? Because I think somebody even asked that in one of your posts or something. You're thinking about
when I first started thinking about this, I was thinking about kids, and I was thinking about using these as, you know, have a kid's bedroom lamp, but also have it be an educational tool. So, yeah, absolutely.
Well, it sounds like there's a lot like the sky's the limit for these lamps. Like there's no end to what you can be inspired by to make.
You just need people to get out and buy them.
Yes.
They can have a lovely lamp and support the Southern Poverty Law Center.
50% of the proceeds go. And this has been a labor of love. I mean, all I did was just talk to her about this. She's actually crafting these beautiful works of art. And people come into my house. I'm almost bet to the point where I want to give people gloves, because people come in and they immediately want to pick up my lamp, and I get some kind of way about it.
Back and I'll wire it with a little 12-volt zap. So
like, my brother was handling it, and I was like, you don't put my damn lamp down. So yeah. So you're coming back on in March for Women's History Month with the conversation with my sister, Robin. so that we can have more of this kind of conversation about these lamps and what they mean. And Women's History Month would be perfect to have this kind. I mean, anytime, but Women's History Month would be perfect. So
more women like Althea Gibson and Serena Williams lamp, and we can go on and on. But
yeah, I love it.
People need to go to glowgoods.com. There's a Light of Truth link there, or to my Etsy store. Right now I'm featuring the my 3 first lamps, and Glow Goods, GLOGOODS.
Thank you for that. And when this is a podcast, when it gets uploaded, when Harry uploads this, when I send it around, I will make sure that I put the links in so that people can just click on and just take a look at the lamps and hopefully buy the Light of Truth. So, there's Harry.
Harry. That's not me, Harry. No,
that's not her. Although Glow Goods, it's GLOO.
No, GLO.
I'm sorry, GLO Goods. But we'll get it right for the next time. See, Bet, 40 minutes goes by quickly.
It does. Time for more coffee now.
Time for more coffee. So I'm going to go and do my other job. But thank you for coming on this morning. I appreciate you. Love you lots.
Thank you.
And I will see. There you go. There it is.
See the link, the Light of Truth there on the menu?
There you go.
There we go. You'll see Ida B. Wells in a second.
Yes.
If you go to the homepage, Harry Droz.
And there we go. So so everyone buy 1 or 2. Or buy for your friends or 3.
Do what Bab says, because you don't want her to be mad at you.
And if you buy one for me, I'm going to gift it to an organization, just so you know. Because I know I have friends who keep wanting to give me a lamp. And if you do, I'm going to gift it to an organization, just so you know. So go ahead and pay for it if you want to. That's fine. I'm just letting you know ahead of time what I'm going to do with it. So thank you, Bette Allen. I will see you in March.
Okay.
When you come back on with Robin, and we'll have another conversation about this.
And that'll be fun. That'll be fun.
Thank you. Bye, Doug. Enjoy Florida. I'll see you soon, my love.
Bye, Babs.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Harry.
Hi, this is Babs Rawls-Ivy from New Haven, Connecticut, and you're listening to WNHHLP 103.5 FM, streaming live at newhavenindependent.org. We'll keep
Harry.